let's talk about Spider-Man, okay? This is gonna be no spoilers at first. I will let you guys know when I'm spoiling, and then you can choose. This is no spoilers. My take on Spider-Man, I just watched it last night, opening weekend, and I wanna preface this with I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, okay? I grew up watching Spider-Man, probably my favorite hero. You know, that I feel like that's a very, like, ice cold take. Spider-Man is like the most known hero, I feel like, for Marvel. Just off the bat, I give it like 7.5, 8 out of 10. And that's not bad, okay? I give it a 7.5, 8 out of 10. I don't think that it's bad to say that. I'm gonna talk about it why without spoiling, and then I will spoil it, and we'll talk about that later. But to start without spoiling, ultimately how I feel about the movie is it felt less like a Spider-Man movie and more like trying to make the villain of the movie, the antagonist, trying to set them up for their own movie. To be fair, that's how I feel watching it. Is it feels like an origin story for the antagonist more than Spider-Man. And I think that the thing people would argue with is saying he does have a lot of character development in this film. And I agree that there is character development for Spider-Man. But the truth is, most of the character development for Spider-Man is taking away the character development of the last movie. And I won't get super into that, but it feels like their way of developing is like just kind of but going back to where he was before, which, you know, I feel like eventually they had to do that. They had to move in that direction, right? But I don't know. I'd be curious to see what the public feels about it. I ultimately think it's a pretty good movie. Okay, if you're just here for my take on it, that's what I'll say. I'm gonna get into spoilers soon for a couple minutes. But I think just putting it down to a sentence is it feels like Spider-Man is used as a tool to accelerate the antagonist's plot line. And I think that ultimately, I walked away from that movie last night and I felt like Marvel is always hamstrung by the fact that no story can ever complete. They don't want it to complete. Because if a story completes, then the viewer is satisfied. And then the viewer is satisfied, and then they don't want to watch the next movie because the story's complete. I think that's what they think. So every single movie, I feel like, is just on a cliffhanger. And at a certain point, I feel like we were okay with that for a long time growing up, watching Marvel. But now it's at a point where I'm just like, it's just every movie ends with like not wanting to hurt any kind of main character for the most part. In general, you know, they're not like doing anything crazy in these movies because they want to have them for an Avengers movie to make them die, whatever. Like, it does feel like they're just like always like, we're not allowed to do anything too crazy. This is just a single movie. We have to do all the crazy stuff in an Avengers movie. We can't do anything crazy unless it's Avengers. And maybe there's one you guys can give an example of that. I'll be like, oh, I forgot about that. But in Spider-Man, at least, the movie felt like it wasn't even, maybe it wasn't not Spider-Man's movie. It felt like it was the antagonist movie and Spider-Man's movie split. And I would have just much rather it been Spider-Man's movie fighting a Spider-Man villain. That's what I'm gonna say. And we're gonna start spoilers, okay? If you have not seen Spider-Man Brand New Day, I'm telling you now, just mute the stream when I say. I will clap twice like this. When you see that, you know you can unmute. You can unmute when I do the clap. That's how I know spoilers are done. We're over with. Okay? Mute now or forever hold your peace. Okay. This is my unfiltered spoilers take of Spider-Man Brand New Day. It's a good movie. Jean Grey is the antagonist. Okay? She feels like the true character of the movie I'm supposed to be caring about. Like, the whole point of the movie feels like it's about how she is becoming a main character in the MCU. I wonder if anyone's listening. It's fine if you're not listening, okay? I get it. No one in the chat, also, don't type some spoiler. Mods, if someone types a spoiler or something, just time them out or ban them, whatever. I don't care. Time them out for the day, because they're just trying to be toxic. Just listen, don't speak. Listen to a white boy when he's talking. I probably shouldn't say that. I'm just kidding. Okay. I think the Punisher should have died. The Punisher has the big climactic ending where they realize the antagonist is actually the good guy, and Spider-Man saves the antagonist, and the antagonist is really the corrupt government. It's like, yeah, we've seen that story before. It's happened before. Which is fine. I'm okay with that. But the Punisher shoots, and Spider-Man saves Jean Grey. Oh my God, it's hair in my mouth. By stepping in front of the bullet. Okay? And that's fine, but I like not a single part of me felt like, oh, this is it, Spider-Man's dead. Like, so it was just kind of like, none of it felt like it was gonna matter at the end of the day. I felt like what should have happened was the Punisher listens to Spider-Man on his don't kill rule and then immediately gets killed. That would have been way more interesting. And the reason I liked the Punisher as a character, I liked the show, whatever. I watched the first season, I believe, but the Punisher, I don't think Disney can handle. I don't think that Disney can make really good Punisher stuff. So I would just rather him die than them bastardize the character, because they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it. They're gonna fuck it up, I feel like. I feel like they're gonna fuck it up. So I think they should have just had Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, make it say, hey, Frank, don't shoot. And then that immediately backfires and he gets killed. And then Spider-Man is like, well, I told him not to shoot, and now he's died. Everyone's close to me. Like, I feel like that would push the story farther. And instead they make Punisher like a silly, goofy guy. And if you didn't watch the show, you don't even understand why this guy is like this. Like, you wouldn't even guess, because he doesn't shoot anybody. Like, his character is like very graphic and like unapologetic, and he's like listening to Spider-Man, fine, I won't shoot, but like, we'll see. And then he just immediately, like, his point in the film, I feel like didn't really do too much. And then another thing, the Savage Hulk comes out, and I obviously do think that they could have had a storyline where instead of it's the Hulk, it's like Kurt Connors and it's the Lizard, but I understand they don't want to do that because of that, and they also know Sony has a contract where you have to have an Avenger in. Kind of annoying, but whatever. So, the Savage Hulk comes out. I thought it would have been cool, and this is just me saying I thought it would have been cool, if the Hulk remembered who Peter Parker was, because the spell didn't affect the Hulk because he wasn't like a being at that time. He was an altered consciousness, pretty much. That would have been interesting to me. That's like a very minor tweak that I just think would have been cool to see the Hulk remember Peter Parker after he said, it's me, Peter, I'm your friend. And he goes like, Peter Parker friend, and then he stops. Like, he maybe you could say that he kind of did, but I don't know. I feel like it would have been cool. That just would have been cool. That's just like a wish list thing. That's a wish list situation. Ultimately, the action was really good. The action was really good. I feel like this movie is just a prequel to X-Men. It's just supposed to be a prequel to X-Men and how like the government is going to use his tech to get rid of all mutants. And that's like the villain there. I feel like there's recognition, but it wasn't brought up again. I could see the argument that there was recognition, but I would have honestly just liked to be like Hulk, Savage Hulk, speak and say like Peter Parker, friend, and then like, or like Peter Parker, remember, or something like that. Something simple, and then he stops. And you could see like a little glow in his eyes, and maybe you could say, oh, he did, but I feel like they're just like, they didn't want to do anything. They didn't want to do anything like too crazy. I feel like it would have been good. I just feel like it would have been good to do that. Other than that, that's what I might take. Like I said, 7.5, 8 out of 10, depending on the vibe I'm feeling. If I saw it again, maybe it would go lower. I'd probably give it an 8 right now, just to say like I had fun. It's a fun movie. I liked it. I have critiques. I don't necessarily love Jean Grey as a villain. I'm not the hugest Jean Grey like comic book nerd. I would have just much rather seen a Spider-Man villain that's like more traditional personally. But Jean Grey is an interesting villain. It's fine. I don't hate it. I don't love it. Like I said, it just feels like an origin story for Jean Grey more than a Spider-Man movie. And also, yeah, I know that Jean Grey is a super old school. I've seen the old like cartoon. I watched the 90s animated series. I love that shit. I've seen some of the old stuff. Personally, I just don't love her as a villain, Spider-Man. I'm not saying it's like not comic book accurate. I just would have liked to have seen a more traditional rogue than Jean Grey. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. This is my personal take, but I do think the movie struggles with being in the MCU. Being in the MCU and having Sony own it, so forcing the Hulk to be in. No, story can't resolve. The villain has to end up being a good guy because they're doing a movie about the villain. Like, it's too much machine. They can't complete a story. Okay, that's where I'm gonna stop my rant. Let me know in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube if I'm totally wrong and you hate me and you want me to die. But I think it's pretty fair to take. I ultimately like the movie, so don't get me wrong. But I do think that there's issues with it, and I wouldn't say it's my favorite. It's probably my least favorite Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland. But I did really like the cinematography, and I really liked the part where Jean Grey takes over MJ and then tells Peter that he remembers, and then they kiss, and then he goes, and then Jean Grey is like, "Wow, you really believed that?" And then that was actually good. That was a very emotional part. I really liked that. I mean, if they got a different old school Spider-Man villain, that was sick. That was a really good part. That was actually a really good part. I was like, oh shit, they did that. But then again, maybe I'm cynical. It would have been way cooler if she did that and then she actually killed herself. Like, that would have made her like, oh fuck, that's an actual villain. The whole part of the film, it never really felt like Jean Grey was a real villain. Like, I never really felt like Jean Grey was a villain. It felt like, other than that one dude she totally killed by going like, walking into oncoming traffic while talking to Spider-Man. Other than that, it felt like she was just kind of like the misunderstood anti-hero that like they're getting to eventually, how Spider-Man's gonna save her. You know, like, and I didn't watch it. I didn't have any spoilers. I watched it like opening weekend. Didn't have any spoilers to it. I just watched the trailer. And that's the vibe. It felt very predictable. I never at one point, other than the MJ scene where I was like, oh, maybe she does remember. And I was like, oh no. Oh no, she does not. Other than that though. Okay, that's where I end. I'm gonna clap. Spoilers done, everyone. No spoilers, we're done spoiling. If you guys can come back to the world, I appreciate you listening to my Spider-Man Brand New Day little essayist, not really essay, off the dome. Let me know if you agree with me, disagree with me in the comments, like I said, and that's done with that.